is Prologue. Leader Fan Radio Network.
And that's a fact.
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 2 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. We welcome you to another edition of the not all that highly acclaimed afternoon aardvark on a beautiful mid-November day here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. My name is Dan Barreiro, the host of the program. Guardsy is jetting as we speak to the Pacific Northwest, where your Golden Gophers will be taking on the Oregon Ducks right here on the Fan tomorrow night. That's a Friday night national game, a national affair. We may check in with Guardsy tomorrow, actually, to get a little bit of a preview. Gophers Ducks. Brett Blakemore is in the chair today and will be in the chair tomorrow as well. We welcome you back to the broadcast. We have a good array of guests. No Dr. Dan's Inbox today. We think we've got Sean Salisbury at 3:30. We'll find out in not that many minutes. We have confirmed that Mike Conley is going to join the program, the Wolves guard, at 4:02. And we got some bonus Russo today. Russo Radio is scheduled for 5:02. We are out, as is customary, on Thursdays. I think we're out every day at 6, because tomorrow we're out at 6 for Golden Gopher pregame show. But we're out at 6 again today, correct? Not 5:45?
That is correct.
6 o'clock.
Yep.
So that is the formerly known as Borton Volvo guest lineup, the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line. That's more current. It's 64686. We would love to hear from you, and we generally do. So whatever is on your mind, hit the 64686 deal and speak up on whatever might be tickling your fancy yet today. Are you familiar with the expression, what's past is prologue? You ever heard it before?
I haven't. I can take a guess.
It's awful heavy. You know, it sounds really profound and dramatic. I like it because it's got a little alliteration. What's past is prologue. And I like, AI is dangerous to count on when it comes to definitions. But I think this is a pretty good one. It certainly fits the theme early in today's program, today's afternoon aardvark. What's past is prologue, AI suggests, means that the past has led to the present moment. That would, I guess, you say, well, yeah, alert the media Lindbergh, baby. And that our history sets the context for the future. It suggests that past events, experiences, and decisions are the foundation for what is happening now and what will happen next. A related idea is that a person's past is not necessarily a predictor of the future, can be a guide for making better choices. That's from AI. What's past is prologue. And it fits today because I'm often accused of living in the past. There's a danger of living in the past. But part of the reason I am stubborn about spending a lot of time on this show over the decades on history. Could be world history, could be American history, could be Minnesota history, could be Minnesota sports history, right? Could be any number of things that are historic in nature. There's value and context to what has come before, and that to a certain extent, it deepens one's appreciation potentially for how we got here and what might be happening now, how it's all linked. Example. You've heard me say a couple times in this program, I love the fact that the NBA is back on NBC. Some of that is just sentiment. Some of that is because I remember well the theme, the NBC theme song for the NBA. Kind of nice to have that back. But the bigger piece of it, now that NBC is back, tied up, married to the NBA, is the effort that's been made by NBC to not always just simply make the game they're about to telecast about those teams that day. The present counts, and the present's important, but NBC has clearly much more than ESPN ever did, and even TNT to a certain extent, to try to link the present of the NBA to its past, to salute the richness in that past, giving people a sense of, in doing so, I think, in any sport, the texture of the sport, that we're part of the continuum, as we like to say. Let me give you an example. This was just the other day. I think it was Sixers. This is a Sixers-Celtics preview that ran at the top of the NBC and maybe Peacock or both or one or the other broadcasts, involving one of the most hallowed names in all of sports broadcast history. I think it's only about a minute, 2 minutes long. Let's go ahead and listen, and maybe you'll have a better idea of where I'm headed here.
If you're a basketball fan of a certain vintage, or if you appreciate the legends of this game, then you, like me, are excited for tonight.
Ready, Marv?
Yes! Boston and Philadelphia. No teams have met more often in the NBA playoffs. Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird and Dr. J. Two classic franchises with even more spectacular plays. But believe it or not, I'm not here just to look back. Tonight, I'm more interested in the present. Tyrese Maxey is off to one of the greatest starts we've ever seen. And his new running mate, VJ Edgecombe, is making an early statement for Rookie of the Year. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown is trying to make his mark as the newest leader in the storied past of the Celtics. Two teams rich in history with big hopes for the future. It's the Celtics and the 76ers. The NBA on NBC next.
I got goosebumps. I believe every sport should do more of that. I really do. I think it does nothing but class up the broadcast. It enhances the broadcast. And guess what? If you're a kid, maybe you say, man, I guess I forgot about that. Or maybe I never knew it. Or maybe I'd like to see, I've heard about it, but I'd like to see it come to life. And as you mentioned, as I mentioned, the key part is, Marv Albert says in the middle of it, I ain't just talking about the past, though. I'm interested in the present. So I'm not here to say that you don't make it about the matchup. You don't make it about the teams as currently constituted. But I believe every sport should do more of that. Now, the part of that is good writing. You got to have people who can write. And some broadcast entities emphasize that, put more of a premium on that than others. Because those things, they're going to have, that's not off the cuff. When Bob Costas offers up some of his, largely on baseball, though he's done a couple basketball ones too, he's written it out. He's thought about it. And I'm here to tell you whether, this isn't about loving basketball. This to me is about connecting viscerally or emotionally with any sport that is your favorite sport. I think most people, I don't think the average rube today gets enough credit. I think if you give the average rube, devotee of any sport, a more of this, they'd love it. I think they'd absolutely enjoy it. It just, as I said, it deepens the broadcast to give some kind of, and look, you can't manufacture history. Some teams haven't been around long enough for there to be much of a history. But where it's applicable, I say it's a lesson. I think more networks, more TV producers should steal from what NBC, in bringing back the NBA to that network, has attempted to do. Lord knows there's enough hockey history to do it, right? There's plenty. There's always angles. But, again, you got to have somebody who can write it. You got to have somebody who's thinking that way as opposed to, all right, let's get to the analytics and let's just break down this particular matchup. You have plenty of time to get to the matchup, right? There's always time to get to the matchup. I doubt you'd be offended if more hockey broadcasts occasionally, especially when it involves maybe historic teams going head-to-head, they offered up some of that, maybe a bit of a taste of that history. I don't think you'd be offended by that, would you? 2
original 6 clubs going at it? Sure, why not?
Yes, but here's the key. Fleshing it out more than just that, because that's easy. You'll hear that. Oh, 2 of the original 6. Now, give me a piece of that rivalry. Give me some names. Give me some film if there's not video. If it's old enough, it'll be film instead of it. Whatever it is. I think it's outstanding. And just hearing Marv Albert's voice, I think is a guy who was prolific, obviously, in his prime, is rather, in its own way, it's kind of, I think the whole thing is great comfort food, and it would enhance any broadcast. So I don't know if this will start a revolution, but I'd love to see it. And I know you can't, like I said, do it with every matchup. You can't do it with every game because there's sometimes then you feel like you're manufacturing the damn thing. But it's, part of the reason, there's a few X handles that I follow. There's a guy, his name will come to me later, who's an NFL archivist who just does a wonderful job. Every once in a while, you'll on a given day, it'll be, hey, let's watch the CBS NFL pregame show from back when Brent Musburger and the late great, our guy, Irv Cross, used to be a regular on the Chad and Barreiro show, were hosting, along with Phyllis George and Jimmy the Greek Snyder, who was on that show before A Fall from Grace, whatever. And it'll feel like you're in a time capsule. It'll feel a little weird. But it is a reminder that, yeah, a lot of times the past is prologue. And this stuff is in one way or another all connected. Doesn't mean it was always better then, but it's part of the history. I, for one, would like to see it. And, when we've brought this kind of stuff up before, the most comforting part via the text line is when we hear from kids, when I say kids, listeners in their 20s, who say, I love this. I love when you go down history lane. I love when you give a little bit of context and a little bit of texture, whether it's sports, history, whatever the case may be. Now, in this case, we're talking sports, obviously. That's the whole bit right now. And I trust the audience enough that I think there's more people out there. I don't always believe the players do. I worry sometimes that the players in most sports have become less and less dedicated to what came before them. Because I sure as hell know KG cared. And I know he's not played for a while, but he was in a generation that didn't do I don't care. I don't care what came before me. What do I care? I'm just playing now. I'm making money now. I don't need to worry about all that stuff. Garnett was among those who got it. Said, no. We're part of the continuum. I want to learn. I want to know about all that. We owed Lenny Wilkins, who just passed away a few days ago at the age of 88 years old. Hall of Fame NBA coach, Hall of Fame NBA player. He was a player coach. And there's a story that was going around, I don't even know how true it was, that Shaq ran into Lenny Wilkins at one point somewhere in recent years. And Lenny must have been talking about a game he played in, and Shaq said something to the effect of, you played? He had no idea that Lenny Wilkins had even played. So all of this, I think, is to the good. All of this, I think, regardless of the sport, is a good trend that I hope NBC is setting, that other broadcasts in other sports can also adopt. And just hire yourself a couple writers, man. I'd do it on the side if they let me. I would love to write some of those intros. Any of the sports. Hockey, I'm a hockey ambassador. basketball, football, whatever. It's not that difficult to do if you pay attention to anything. And I just think it adds a level of class to even a regular season broadcast. We say it's one of 82 games, or in baseball, it's one of 162 games. Doesn't matter. Anything that enriches a broadcast, I think, is a good thing. Bonus bucks?
Yes, the fan of 2 Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks to the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com, keyword win for this hour. Keyword win, KFAN.com, keyword win. We all remember that one teacher who made a difference, believed in us, challenged us, or just made learning fun. Well, now's your chance to say thank you in a big way with iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, and it's powered by Donors Choose. Nominated outstanding public school teacher who's gone above and beyond for their students to win $5,000 to stock their classroom with whatever they need. I would say thank you to educators shaping our future. You can nominate your favorite teacher now. iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
Are you a great prep football mind?
Locally, no.
Oh, well, then you're probably the wrong person to ask. Prep semifinals going on tonight, I think, at the People's Stadium.
Ooh.
Are those games televised? I assume they're streamed in a way that you can get them, but I know we put the title games on, but are those games televised tonight? Somebody will know via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. A number of texts coming in on the subject at the start of the program. I think NBC is the best when it comes to broadcasting sports. They can be. I mean, if you go back, if you're old enough, ABC was outstanding on the Olympics back in the day. In fact, they used to have NBA stuff with an announcer named Chris Schenkel. Outstanding voice. A lot of the kids will not recognize that name, and I'm not surprised. I'm right with you, Dan. Local fans love hearing about past stars. It's like oxygen for the sport. And honestly, they could take some notes from professional wrestling. Wrestling was downright brilliant at using its own history to hype an event. Not so much today, but historically. Masterclass in marketing. That's right, Dan. We need more Kevin Garnett's and fewer Caitlin Clark's. We kid. Dan, I too love when you go down memory lane when you mention Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, Phyllis George. Brings back lots of memories. I saw a clip on YouTube not long ago when that crew was live at Met Stadium for an NFC playoff game. Light snow falling. Great memories. And again, let's say you're not old enough to have those memories. That's okay too. Then I think it's just an interesting bit of information that adds a layer to the broadcast. It doesn't have to be that you recollect it, but it can be interesting to you of, that goes back that far, huh? Man, those are some pretty good matchups then. It just, I think, whets the appetite to what you then hope will be a game that can perhaps match that. Couldn't agree more. It's about giving back to the viewers who keep the show going in the first place. We already love the media. That's obvious. When the media does this, the viewers win, sports wins. Sports win, everybody wins. 100% true. I'm 20, and I love hearing about the old history of sports and watching old videos and getting to learn more about the history of sports. That can be painful in the case of the calendar of calamity. We know that, but it's all kind of part of the bit. Doc Emmerich was the best at tying in history for hockey games, misses broadcasts. Great example of that. There's no question. I love that the NBA is back on NBC, but it makes me realize how great Dick Enberg was. I miss his voice. Not as iconic as Vin Scully, but close. That's 952 guy. Dick Enberg was an Indiana University grad. I think he went to grad school there, if I'm not mistaken. I became an NFL fan from watching the old NFL films, reading about old games before I ever remember watching a game live. Good point regarding NBC and their broadcast. It's a great way to actually build it up to be something epic, similar to how ABC would present Monday Night Football. Now all ESPN cares about is plugging betting lines. I would submit, I get why they do it. They're making a lot of money doing it, and it's about money. But I think there's room for both. I really do. I think ESPN has tended to utterly and completely miss the boat, and it's showing up even more now that you have another network that seems committed to that part of the story. I did not know NBA on NBC in the old days as you did, but I've enjoyed these past couple weeks. We've talked about even the commentary, I think, is just more adult. It's just, there's still ranting that occasionally goes on there, but it just feels like it's got a little bit more depth to it for sure. Sunday's Timberwolves game is going to have a rocking atmosphere. Well, we may get to that a little bit later as well. Let's try to stay on schedule. We hope when we come back, Sean Salisbury will check in, and we'll get his reaction to a disappointing performance of the Vikings last week and a preview of Vikings-Bears. Does he think the Bears are for real? And much more. Our guy Sean Salisbury is scheduled next. Questions for Sean Salisbury, hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686 as we welcome him back into the broadcast. Sean, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. How are you?
We're doing very well. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a couple stats, and then I want you to do your best quarterback deep dive related to them. I've got J.J. McCarthy. If you believe in the old-fashioned quarterback ratings, 44th in the league currently. If you believe in the newfangled ESPN QBR, I've got him. Well, Cam Ward is rated 33rd at 24.2 QBR. I think JJ's got a 26, so he'd be behind everybody but Cam Ward if he registered in these stats. So what did you see last week? What do you see in general? We know he's going to play. We know you have to keep playing him, obviously. But what do your trained quarterback's eyes see so far?
Well, hopefully they're communicating with each other on the sideline, unlike the Atlanta Falcons, which is the most bizarre, which is unbelievable. Yes. But just with the naked eye and watching, what he's doing. Listen, he's a bit overwhelmed, Dan. He is, which is I get, because in essence, he'd been there a couple of years, and it's one thing to sit back and watch, and it's a unique situation when you're a backup to have to do that. But when you know you're going to be the starter, he hasn't got a lot of work. Now I know he's played some games this year, but he's still a rookie in essence because he's getting under center and doing it. But you think about illegal procedure penalties at home. The Ravens defense is playing better the last 3 weeks. They look like a team that, is going to go on and make the playoffs. We had them left for dead. But him, I think that there are times, and it almost feels like he's trying to prove to the world that he can make big plays. Mm-hmm. You can't, and throwing it 40-plus times is not where they want to live. They ran the ball effectively, but you get down and play chase. Yep. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And you saw Baltimore started to lean on that as the game went on, and it paid dividends for them. I think that they won't say this, or he may not, but when you're that young, you are swimming because the game moves, man. Yeah. And it moves different than Michigan and Ohio State just does. Right. And he is, I think that he's probably a little bit overwhelmed at times. I think that, he's an energetic guy, and he feeds off that, which has led to some streaky football. As I said when he was in college, the best of J.J. McCarthy's passing is going to be in front of him, and it's going to take a while because they didn't throw that much there. No. 18 times, 16 times, 22 times. So he is not a polished passer in the numbers. So I try to stay away, but there are some glaring numbers that you can't stay away from. And this team should not be an under 500 team, talent-wise. They're better than that. So whether it's coaching, whether it's performance, both obviously execution, but you got to get reps, and I know that's a cliche thing, but just to me, I can just see. I love the urgency of player. When a player's feeling good, your feet are urgent. The rest of your quiet upper body and your mind slows down. Right now, it's the opposite for him. I mean, everything's 100 miles an hour and trying to make big plays, and you see the turnovers and illegal procedure penalties, and they're not real efficient on the offensive side of the ball. And I know. And anytime you look at a receiver's got double digits targets, 12 or 13 to Jefferson last week, and only 4 were complete, there's something missing from all of it right now. And they're a non-looking playoff team offensively right now. 8 false starts at home, which is extraordinary. Inexcusable. Yeah, it's inexcusable. So it's got to be, and everybody's trying to cover for everybody and say it's a number of different things. But to me, at the top of the list, it's got to be
this quarterback's cadence, right? There's something about his cadence that's confusing some members of the rest of his offense because the right tackle doesn't do that on a regular basis. So how does that work? Is it a different voice? Is it the way he emphasizes the hut? What do you think causes the possibility of that kind of disaster as it took place last week?
Well, first, and everybody's got to be paying attention to this. First thing that comes to my mind is he's your starting quarterback. If he is using a different cadence than Wentz did for a while, as far as down, set, wide 80, hot, or whatever the cadence of the cadence is. Whether it's the decibel level, whether it's the emphasis when you're going on 3, but those weren't all hard count, long counts. They're just normal counts, right? And it's at home. So voice inflection obviously has something to do with it. I can remember when I first got to Minnesota that Rich and Wade's cadence were a little different than mine because how I'd learned it. We just did it different. And so, like a lot of times when I at SC, our hard count, like to get people off, it was hot. We would hesitate sometimes between 1 and 2. And where I'd been previously, instead of a lot of times now, if you're going on 3, you'll roll 1 and 2 together. It'll be hot, like that.
Yep.
Instead of hut. So a slight hesitation. Those guys are white knuckling it. They're leaning. And so I literally, and so this is great that you asked this, is listening to him. It was down set like Black 80, like hot. I mean, you're like rolling into it. So the center should be rolling, doing this stuff. And you're getting used to snapping it. When we were there, Loudermilk it was like he'd be on 2, he'd be snapping it on 1 because we'd roll 1 into 2 so quickly that you do it and go good. If you listen to cadence now, like when Marino was calling or when Aaron Rodgers calling, it's Mike Wright 580, hot. I mean, you really don't hear them all until it's if it's on the third one, it's not hot, and then there's hesitation. Then the third one, and you hope somebody jumps and get them off sides. And if you can't get the cadence down right as grown adults, coaches, players, tackle, quarterback, the starting quarterback, then you know what? Now that he's the starter, they got to adjust to him, which is a bummer. I know that. But he's also got to make it to where knowing how hard the job is for the guys up front, you want them to get off. It's only to your advantage. So you can't always go on 1, but you got to talk to them and go in their meeting room and say, what cadence do you like? And when we're going on 3, do you like roll the first 2 together, hesitation, or do you like hot? I mean, you want to ask them. And if that fails and you're not practicing it, hell, if something's not working, got to practice it, then you better go to the old college, high school days in the gun where you're clapping, or if you're under center, you're going on a silent count, or you're you have to do this at home. Another thing, this is elementary school stuff, Dan. This should not be happening. One is you shouldn't get 8. I don't care if there was 400,000 people at a Led Zeppelin concert. You can't jump off sides 8 times, let alone 8 times in your own building.
In your own building, yeah.
And so, you just can't. So he's got to either adjust his cadence. They have to learn to get back to hearing his voice, and I'll guarantee that he and Carson Wentz had something a little different in there, whether it's a deeper voice, a higher voice, or the timing of it. But if that's not working, by about the 4th one, you know what I would have done, honest to God, if I was Kevin, I'd have said, listen, we're going on silent count. Quarterback just tackles, right. The guard's going to touch him. He's going to look back to 1001, hesitate. We're going on movement. That's what you do when it's a hostile environment in postseason or something. So you got to learn to adjust. You can't have 7th graders understanding cadence better than that. And that, like penalties on a nice return, or backs you up. And then they were just, it felt like they were chasing, swimming upstream the whole time. And then the quarterback is young. You're trying to be a hero. And next thing you know, you're also playing against a team who is on fire right now. And Lamar look bored? And I like that. He kind of looked like, right. You know what, this is easy. Just hit the ball to the check down. I'll get out of bounds. Not going to take the hit. Oh, there's that dig route. Let me hit that. He looked bored, which goes back to everything's moving urgently. But from the waist up, it's like, dude, this guy's like smoking a cigar in the pocket. It's pretty easy for him. But that's because the mind, he already has a pretty good idea what you're trying to do. And that's against a defense that changes a lot of fronts. Yes. Meaning Minnesota gives you a lot of looks. So you've got to silence that by just playing calm football. They looked frantic last week. And even though it was close and they were within a score late, they just looked a little frantic. The other one looked like, we got this the whole time. Don't you worry. We're going to take care of business. And it felt like the Vikings were swimming upstream. in a nice fishing river there in Minnesota.
It's a bit of a broken record, but because of the circumstances of this game, I want to go back over it. I'm looking at the box score. Aaron, if you take McCarthy's rushes out, because he had 5 carries for 48, leave those aside, though, because quarterback's always kind of in a different category, because often those are not planned runs. Aaron Jones, 9 carries, 47 yards. Jordan Mason, 4 for 25. So the two running backs together ran 13 times and averaged 5.5 yards a carry. That just doesn't make sense to me. Now, I get it in the fourth quarter when you get down 14 or 15. At some point, you got to let it loose a little bit. But it just keeps going, Sean. I don't get why he's the one Shanahan disciple who doesn't seem to get it. All the other ones never forget about running the ball, and he still hasn't figured it out. It's bizarre to me.
Dan, and you know what, like getting under center in the gun, I know he did that in college, but to the point, I was talking on my show about this, and then my co-host decided I'm going to look something up because a couple days before I said, getting under center and in the gun, mixing both in are really important because the run game, you can do more bandwidth, right? You know that 4 of the 5 teams are all Super Bowl contenders, and McVay's one of those guys. We know Shanahan's background. They're not in the category, but 4 of the top 5 of almost like a 47-53 split under center in the gun that leads to you can do both. You're more versatile, right? 4 of those teams, the only one that's not the aberration of like 4 of the best teams in the league is the Kansas City Chiefs. And they play more sideways screen football than anybody in the league.
That's true.
Or they're near the top. So they use that as an extension of the run. So you're 100% right. Kevin's a smart guy. And every Shanahan/McVay guy, they want to run it just like Mike Shanahan, the dad, did, and dominate. It didn't matter who the back was. We're committed to it. And when you're averaging 5 yards a carry, you don't abandon that. And I would even make the argument, I know when you get late, like inside 3 minutes to go, you got to drop back and throw it every time. I get that. But to me, in the fourth quarter in this league or in any league, being down by a score or two, there's no panic needed. It's 1-3 and out. You go score another 3 and you can still, you don't have to abandon it. Now do Baltimore. If I'm not mistaken, they ran close to 40 times.
That's correct.
Almost close to 36, 38 rushes. As I'm watching the game, and that's
36 carries, 152 yards.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's and in dire times or even on 3rd and 5, they had no problem running it. And I'm not even just talking about with the quarterback. I'm talking about with their run game. Because it's not like Lamar ran it 17 times for 160 yards. So I know the threat of him always is a problem. But I don't understand. You're not going to win football games in this league. If you're lucky, 1 out of 20. But unless you have one of those days where it's like, all your backs are hurt, you got Dan Marino throwing it 50 times and he's used to it, you're not winning in the league running it less than half the amount of times as the other team. And my affinity for this stat. It's attempts.
Yes.
I say it all the time, and no matter what. If you averaged 3 yards a carry and had 28 attempts, you'd be closer to a victory than if you ran it 18 times for 160 yards. I'm just telling you, you would.
Yep.
Just because of the club. And you're also limiting possessions. And it just, to me, for the other team, if you're doing it right, and at 5 yards a carry, you would have gotten 3 or 4 more first downs, which is 8 to 10 to 12 more plays, depending on how you do with those series. So I don't get the math, and I don't know why and all you're doing by not running it is putting more burden on a quarterback who's still under a rookie amount of games. And he's not ready for that. I know he can throw it and he'll get better because he was accurate at Michigan. He is not ready to get into a passing fancy for the most part. The game he won when they came back early in the year, Dan, is that first one when he came back and brought him back?
Yep.
Yeah. He didn't throw it very well. I mean, they would at that point in time you programmed your mind to say, okay, let me go out now. I know I'm throwing. Now let's just go play street yard football and let it rip. You're not squeezing the ball hard, and brings them back in and has that great end of the game fourth quarter, and there they go. You can't live there. No, Mahomes ain't living there anymore. Allen's not living there. Look at Buffalo. Trying to explain them losing to Miami, like I said, that couldn't beat anybody in a pillow fight, let alone a fist fight.
Yeah.
So, but the Minnesota Vikings their lack of commitment to the run game, even when it's successful, is one of the league's more baffling situations.
Well, I get this text every time we talk about this, the comeback, and I think even O'Connell talked about it a little bit after the game. Well, if you got a false start and 1st and 10 becomes 1st and 15, it's harder to run. And I grant it's a little harder to do anything at 1st and 15. But you know and I know that there are teams committed enough to the run that they'll even run on 2nd and 10. And they don't expect to get the 10, but they said, let's get 6, right? Let's get it to that place where we have enough confidence that then we have a chance to make a play. So I don't even buy the premise, especially in a day when the run's going game. Or when the run's going well.
And I can tell you this, if you start showing up these analytics, which is evidence, that's all analytics are, and these tendencies in football that on 1st and 15, you have to throw every time. They're going to play some kind of coverage that prevents you from throwing it even underneath, and then you're going to take a shot. Now it's 2nd 15.
Yes.
So I know in my world, 2nd 11 is easier than 2nd 15, and I know this 3rd and 6 is a lot easier than 3rd and 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me, and matter of fact, I'll bet you there's a pretty, I don't want to say alarming, but if we went over every 2nd down and 10 plus, and I'm saying any ball that's thrown behind the line of scrimmage or a ball handed off, I'll bet you it's a higher percentage than we would think of teams who throw it behind the line of scrimmage or run it on 2nd and 10 plus. So you're 1st and 15. Okay. So by throwing it all the time and getting away from it, aren't you basically telling your team, I don't trust you to get me 4 yards back? And if you're trying to get 15 yards on one run on 1st and 15, you probably need to take 2 weeks off and quit, because that doesn't usually happen either. Barry Sanders and Eric Dickerson aren't on the field right now. So, and even they wouldn't do it to them. But I can tell you this, my math tells me 4 and 6 gets me to 3rd and 5, which is manageable. And now I can still run it. I can throw it, or I can get to 4th and 1 on their side of the field, and it's a 4-downer. So to me, and that's coming from a quarterback who'd like to throw it 90 times when I'm playing, because I want to throw it. But if you want to win, 18 attempts minus the quarterback's 5, 13 attempts will not beat the New Orleans Saints in an NFL game. And by the way, the Saints beat Carolina. So there you go.
There it is, exactly.
With a rookie quarterback, right.
Let me ask you about, there was a 3rd and 1 play where my inclination generally is to defend the call that O'Connell made. This was at the start of the second half. 3rd and 1 around the 50, might have been a little bit further into Baltimore territory. And that's the play that ends up, JJ stumbles. It ends up being an interception. Yeah. And the O'Connell point after the game was, I'm going for it on 4th down. In other words, if it's an incomplete pass on 3rd and 1, if the play we have where they did actually single up JJ, which was unusual, if it doesn't work, it's incomplete, we're going for it. I got a good run play called on 4th and 1. I usually defend that. As long as I know you're going to run it on 4th, you're going to keep going on 4th, it can be a good passing down. On the other hand, I say Baltimore's gotten back in the game, and you're starting to lose control of it a little bit. Are you better off getting another damn 1st down? I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I would have ran it twice. And if I can't and I would have flipped it. I would have, because on 4th and 1, I think teams pretty much know you're going to run it. I think on 3rd and 1, they're looking at you at times and saying, this could be bootleg, naked boot, play action, try to get one out there. And I don't want a quarterback to play scared. You got to have some guts. But I've never understood, like on a 4th and 1 at midfield and you're $1:30 to go, and I see it on Saturdays, I've seen it on Sundays. A guy will throw a fade route, a low percentage fade route that lands out of bounds on 4th and 1. And I know this was 3rd down, but I'm talking about or push the ball down the field in tight coverage, man. Because it's man, you take a shot. I get it, but that goes back into the IQ of the football IQ of understanding the situation of a game. Down 2 touchdowns. Jefferson man coverage. I'm backed up at my own 25. It's 3rd and 1. Hell, I don't have a problem taking a shot.
Right.
More than likely, if I'm going anyway, do it. But I cross midfield. We'll get the 1st down. I'll get another shot to take a fade. They'll play man again. Or a ball that's pushed down the field, even a comeback or a dig route. it's just not a high percentage. That doesn't mean to play scared. Just don't play stupid, which was a great Tom Moore suggestion to all of us. Was, don't play scared. Just don't play stupid.
Yeah.
And stupid is, in my opinion, putting your quarterback in where you see it and automatically you pre-snap read it and you say, you know what, I'm throwing it regardless of the coverage because now, we got single. Now, while JJ makes it a higher percentage because he's so good, but let me secure the first down first, especially in that situation of the game. And I know circumstances call. I would have flipped it if I was going to. I would have ran it on third down, and if I didn't, and if everybody's pinching in, then I would have naked booted and given my guy or pushed him to the edge, given my guy run pass option. I would have flooded it. I would have given McCarthy the ball a chance to get the edge, dive at the pylon, or throw the football, or make something happen. But on third down, now you're forced, man. No gain. Now it's 4th and a yard and a half. Well, I guess I could punt and try to back them up. Well, what if it goes in the end zone? So I know I'm going for it. So in this league, and I know it happens weekly, but if I can't move the pile 2 plays for a yard, then I'm probably not good enough to win much. That's the craziness. But I also know this. If I'm going to throw it and I get Jefferson, hell, let me put the ball in Jefferson's hand some other way. I don't know. Can we jet sweep him like we used to do with AC? Sure. I don't, the edge, if they're pinching in and all the quarterback sneak, that's for, I didn't watch their game plan or all the cut-ups going into the week, so knowing what they're doing on their 6'2" short yardage and goal line as you prepare on what you're going to put in. But I've always believed that, man, if I can't get 2 yards with Zimmerman and McDaniel, then we're not very good. Secondly, I'm talking about when we played, and now with those. Second, and also on the other side of it is, okay, if you're using a waist down, there's a time for a waist down. You're going to go 4 downs. You're at their 35 or 40, got 3. But I can't waste a down on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. And it was hugely important. I hope you know what I'm saying. My point is, I'd prefer to secure the first down other than take a low percentage or take a shot and a chance. Now, we get the first down, Dan, and it's 1st and 10, take a shot. That's okay. Just be smart with the ball. Take a shot. Second. But, man, you're at the end. You know the struggle. You know they haven't run the ball a ton. You know it's Baltimore starting to get hot. Man, let me just take the ball out of that other dude's hands on the other side, and let me push a pile, get my jumbo people in, and let's at least or run some play action and let JJ have the two-way go on an option, even if it's 2 plays in a row. And I know we see it all the time, but then it comes down to how physical are you. And Kevin's a smart guy, but there are head-scratching moments that I think, what are we trying to get done here, especially when you've averaged at the end of the game, you're putting up half a first down per carry on 13 of them.
All right, we only have about a minute left because I got Mike Conley here at the top of the hour, but I want to get this in. These are comments from Justin Jefferson today. I'm quoting Kevin Seifert, who's a regular on our show, covers the Vikings for ESPN. Really interesting media session today with Justin Jefferson. Said he wants to get back to his, quote, savage and bleep it mode. Admitted his frustration on Sunday and addressed not chasing players who intercepted passes. Quote, I'm not really mad at the situation that I'm in, or I'm not mad at the players that we have or the plays that are being called. Of course I'm mad after an interception. You want me to be happy and go chase them down? That's not really something that I want to happen. So, even among media members, there's a bit of a debate on whether too much is being made of his reaction after the picks, especially because one of them got called back anyway, and he probably knew it was down by contact. And others saying, no, that's a bad vibe, man. You gotta go ahead and make sure you're making the play. As a former player watching this stuff closely, did any of that bother you? What do you think? Should any of this be concerning on JJ?
Listen, it does. One thing you got to take into account is that receivers are built different. They're always open. Take a look at A.J. Brown. Hey, you got fantasy. Don't pick, drop me from your league. Receivers want to get theirs. And when they get there, sometimes even when you don't win, I'm not saying him specifically, but receivers, sometimes when they get 8 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns and lose, they'll get over it a little quicker than if they get 3 catches for 22 yards and win. And you want that because they crave the ball, and Jefferson's one of the 5 best offensive players in the world. I get it, and as good as there is. The optics, man. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just he's a great player, and we're not taking that away. Mm-hmm. But great players and the special ones, the unique and elite ones, which he is. But there's also, I always compare Hines Ward. Hines Ward made a difference in games even when he wasn't catching the ball. He'd block you. He'd hustle after you, go make a tackle. That's your job. And I know the interceptions are a bummer and they suck, but, just the optics to younger guys and to your teammates, because when you go in and watch film the next day, the urgent part of it, you're like, oh, it's just that play or two plays. But the hard part is when you go and watch your teammates and 10 dudes are chasing it down and you're not.
Yeah.
It just reeks of, so this is the way it is. And I know he's better than that. And I would imagine he'll chase that next time. And you never know when you're going to be the guy that prevents a big play on an interception from a touchdown, especially with his skill set and speed. You have to go even if you don't want to, and the frustration kicks in.
Quick answer without needing any explanation on why. Bears, Vikings, who wins?
Give me the Vikings, but Caleb Williams is improving, and he's keeping it close. He's a playmaker, and he's getting better in the pocket. You better force him off his mark and make him go left, not right.
Outstanding work again, my friend. We appreciate you. We'll talk next week.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
Thanks, Sean.
it.
Outstanding stuff, man. Really good analysis from Sean Salisbury. Let's break. We are a little bit late, and we expect to visit with Timberwolves point guard Mike Conley. We'll get caught up on the Wolves next.